Hello and welcome to the magic of fishing. You join me on a very blustery but otherwise beautiful spring day. It's early April and I'm really excited to be back on the banks of a special little pond called Frog Island in Surrey. I've been fishing it over 10 years now. I like to come here in spring because it's a very shallow venue and it warms up a bit more quickly than some of the other still waters that I fish. But it's also a stunning drive from my home in Woking up over the Surrey hills and down through some really nice villages, picturesque villages, to get to this amazing little farm that's run by a good friend of mine called Jerry, absolutely lovely bloke who I've got to know over the last few years. And he runs an amazing farm here. You can bring the kids, see the very friendly farm animals. There's also a trout fishery and a farm shop and a smokery, so you can not only catch some trout with the kids from a couple of trout ponds, you can take them home with you, or you can buy some of the ready smoked fillets that he's got in the farm shop, and it's just a really special place. This pond is only about an acre in size, but it's got some lovely little carp in it, as well as all the other coarse species you'd expect. And today I can't wait to fish it with a really traditional float tactic and a couple of bait choices that I'll talk you through now. And one of the reasons I'm going to be keeping it traditional in terms of tackle and tactics today is this very special bag of floats. I received this in the post a couple of weeks ago from the Dawson family up in my hometown of Sheffield. An unbelievably generous gift. And if you've been following this channel or checked out the other videos, you may remember one of my very first films, which was really about their amazing fishing tackle shop in Sheffield. It sadly closed this year, a decision that was taken by Michael after a lot of serious thought, but is definitely for the good of him and his health and his family, so that's the most important thing. But I'm really glad that I was able to film some of their amazing shop that had been going for at least 120 years. It had been in 5 generations of the family in different locations in the city, but even the most recent incarnation of that shop was a very traditional and magical place to visit. So when they shut it this year, saved me some of his dad's floats, and I'm going to use one of them today. So here is the float that I've chosen to use, and it's a really traditional antenna bodied waggler style float, which is intended for fishing on the lift, and I'll show you what we mean by that in a second. But you can see around the cane base of the float there's a bit of wire there that's designed to help it cock in the water without any shot around the float itself. That's held in place with a few float stops, and then we run that cane through the balsa base of the float, and you can see there's almost a stepped tip here, very eye-catching colours, and near the top you've got a very thin section, almost the same as a fairly thick pull float really. But these very eye-catching colours are designed to be noticed when the float lifts out the water. It can also get pulled under by a fish, but we're going to put most of the weight near the hook with a large single shot, so that when a feeding carp or other species of fish picks up that bait, it also picks up the shot, and the float will lift like that out of the water. And I'll show you what that looks like in the water too. But we sink the float to the correct depth, or get the tip down to the right level by slowly reeling in the line and pulling some tension between the float and the shot on the bottom, and that will pull that tip down. It's really exciting to see it lift straight up like a rocket when a fish takes. And if all that sounds a little bit clunky with the heavy shot down here, we're going to use a buoyant bait today. We're going to use a bit of bread crust, so that will pop up an inch or two off the bottom and waft invitingly in front of the fish's noses, we hope. And the buoyancy of the bread bait, we're just going to take a pinch off the corner of a slice, nick the hook through the bottom. That will pop up off the weight of that shot, and that will help counterbalance the weight of that shot. So when the fish sucks up that bait, moves off with it, it'll barely feel the shot, and we'll see that really exciting lift bite that I've probably not seen for at least a good few years. So let's have a first cast and I'll show you how the rig works. It's best fish, not essential, but best fish with a centre pin, so you can just gently tighten the line up to the rig. You're fishing it close in the margins. Going to fish down here by these reeds, and centre pin's also a lovely direct way of playing these small carp. Because it's such a shallow venue, they really can fly off on the horizontal because they can't go deep, so they've got to shoot along the lake bed, and it's like playing a torpedo. So let's hope we can show you that, as well as how this rig works. It's a simple swing out. We're fishing no more than a rod length out, and once that float settles, we'll tighten up to it. Float fishing doesn't get much more exciting than this. As we're working back from the island. Hello again. What's your name?
James.
James. James has just rejoined me. He works here, and come back round to see me try and land the second of the day. First fish I caught before the cameras were rolling. Shot off in the usual Frog Island way, like a torpedo.
They always put up a big fight.
They do. So it's spring-fed water that helps, isn't it?
Yeah.
Keeps them fit. I love fishing with the light gear. You get people come with the bite alarms and heavy carp rods. Nothing wrong with going back to the basics.
Sometimes it's better. Just not used to seeing it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the irony, is the old baits and methods are now new to the carp.
Yeah.
Because they're more used to pellets and boilies and other modern baits. Oh, they're really nice and dark in here as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. There's some nice commons.
Really nice commons. Oh, it's disturbed the swim a bit, but we've got him.
Yeah.
There's a lovely dark torpedo shaped common. Let's get him unhooked. This is James, folks. Say hello to James. James, say hello to the viewers.
Hello, viewers.
And we have got a very, very lively Frog Island common. Really dark. Cheers for being a spectator,
Yeah,
James.
very well.
Tune in later. Well, it was really nice meeting James, who I've seen fish here before. Very good angler, and he actually works here helping Jerry out with the farm shop and the tickets and the food, and just looking after guests really, which they do really, really well here. Treated like royalty really, and yeah, you got to witness my first carp for the camera. But yeah, he was agreeing that these fish fight really hard. It's spring-fed water, the same spring water that's used for the trout farm, and that really does produce these rocket-powered carp that fight really hard in the shallow water, and I just love catching them on the float with these traditional baits like shellfish and thread. As I mentioned while playing that carp, I had actually caught one other. Came almost immediately while I was testing the rig out, and just put a bit of bread on to check the buoyancy with the shot, and hooked a fish and wasn't ready with the camera. So that was actually the second fish of the day. It's about 4 o'clock, 4:30 now, so we've got a good few hours Now the clocks have gone forward until we have to pack up, and I hope that first common will be joined by a few more. Really does pay to hold the rod here. Obviously fishing with a centre pin, you've got that ratchet on that'll let the line off the spool at a rapid rate if need be. The float's just lifted and we're in. It's lovely to see. Those bright colours just pop up from the silvery surface. I don't think it's a big one, this, but still put a bend in the rod. Scrapping right under the rod tip. It's a classic lift bite. Really nice to see after all these years. Still a very effective method. He really is feisty, this one. One of the typically dark golden commons you get in Frog Island, and we've got him. That really is miniature carp perfection. Not the biggest of fish, but really dark gold, buttery down the belly, but much darker than your average commons because they're old fish. It's really clear water, beautiful. Let's get him back. And we're in again on bread. To pull hard to keep him out of the weeds here. That's it. Sun's just coming out, which is a treat. The wind is still blowing. And the carp are still feeding and scrapping. We've got him round branch there. He's free. We got him. That's a lovely little dark mirror. Lovely in the sunshine. Let's get him back. Oh, we've not needed the mussels yet. Might give them a go before we head home, but the buoyant flake really is doing the business. That was a perfect lift bite. You can see the sun glinting off the float tip. Another small one. A long, lean, common, fighting fit. Looks almost like a wildie. So another nice fish. As the sun starts to sink below the treetops. Oh, we've got a siren disturbing the peace. Normally a very quiet place to fish, I can assure you. There's another nice mirror. It's a lovely evening, and it's been non-stop action this afternoon. Almost lost count. Nothing over a few pounds yet, but there's always chance of a better fish before I have to pack up as the sun starts to dip a bit lower. It really is. Whoa! Well, I was about to say, it's a place that becomes really magical once the sun starts to sink a bit. But let's just focus on getting this fish out. That was an absolutely textbook lift bite again. And a textbook Frog Island scrap. Looks like a really dark old warrior, this. And he's not done yet. Ah, powerful fish. Great fun on this light gear, well, balance gear. And fantastic to see that handmade float all the way from Sheffield shoot up into the air. This is the best fish yet. Here he comes. Awesome. It's a magical place, but even more magical with a big fish in the net. Let's have a look at him. Well, what an old warrior this is. He's got a few scars, he's been in a few battles, and he's still absolutely full of fight. Really dark, typical of the carp in this amazing little pond, Frog Island. But he's done himself proud. Now let's get him back. Well, as so often happens in this place, when you're trying to make a point or have a thought, you get rudely interrupted by a fish. And I'm not complaining about that one. Getting in on the act. The best fish of the day. Whether it will end up being the best fish of the day, we'll have to see. It was another one on the bread flake, and I'm going to give mussels a go now. Another big visual bait, light bread, but with the added attraction of the scent and the saltiness. Just nicked on, and even though it's not buoyant, we can still fish this with the lift method. It's perhaps not quite as finessed because the weight of the bait only adds to that telltale shot, the big telltale shot in a treble A, and so it's not quite as refined as using this method with a bit of crust or buoyant flake. But we'll see whether the carp are in the mood for a bit of seafood. But yeah, what a beautiful evening. It's a beautiful location. The birds are giving it everything. And that didn't take long. Ah, that is a full bend in this rod. Doesn't want to come up. Nice mirror on the mussel. Lovely to see it fighting below the bright tip of that handmade float. I'm all for modern gear as well and modern tactics. Got all my match gear up in Sheffield at my dad's, and I'll fish a carbon pole and pellets as much as the next man, but there's something really lovely about this as he gets his second wind. You really can't beat the direct contact you get with a centre pin, and seeing that float rise up, knowing there's a big old mussel on the end and it couldn't be a small roach or perch taking it, it's exciting stuff. It's the magic of fishing. Well, that's not going to trouble my personal best of just under £30, but that is a marvellous looking mirror on the mussel. And if that's the last fish of the day, I'm a happy man. Let him go. Well, as the sun sets behind me, what a perfect ending to another great day at Frog Island. It really is a fantastic fishery. That's credit to Jerry and of course his young helper James. It's been extra special to catch them using this handmade float sent down to me all the way from Sheffield, from the Dawsons. It's a bit of history from the fantastic old shop that they ran until earlier this year, and what a privilege to get to use it. It's the kind of fishing my granddad taught me when I was a youngster in Sheffield, and to see this rising up through the water quite a few times this evening and connect with some hard fighting carp, that's been so enjoyable, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. If you have and you're not already in the club, please subscribe, button below, and if you are, then please give it a like, and I will see you again soon on the bank.